solving one-step equations, the goal is to isolate the variable. So remember that we want the variable to be by itself, and so that's going to be our goal. Again, these equations can be solved mentally. However, for the future questions on solving equations, when the questions get a little bit more complicated, it's important that you solve this using algebra. And we are going to be using algebra to solve each of these questions. And first one says x plus 12 equals to 3. Again, we want to isolate the variable. We want to use what we call inverse. Inverse is basically another way to say opposite. So opposite of x plus 12 would be minus 12. So in this case, we would subtract 12, because if you subtract 12, it would accomplish the goal of isolating the variable. Variable will be by itself, because this positive 12 and negative 12 will become 0. Now, the rule in the equation is whatever you do to the left side of the equation, you have to do the same to the right side of the equation. Given that equation is sort of the middle divider, you do whatever on the left side, you do the same one to the right side. Now that's going to equal to 0, so it's x equals 2. 3 minus 12 is negative 9. Therefore, the answer is negative 9. Second question, y minus 9 is equal to negative 18. Because this is a subtract 9, using our inverse, we are going to add 9, because that will accomplish y being by itself. And we have to add 9 to the other side of the equation to be fair. That will simplify to 0. You are left with y on the left side of the equation equals to negative 18 plus 9 is negative 9. This equation is 5 times n equals to negative 15. Therefore, the inverse of times is division. So we divide by 5, which is a fraction. Divide by 5 to the other side. 5 divided by 5 is equal to 1, which leaves n by itself. Again, isolating the variable. That's equal to negative 15 divided by 5 is negative 3. In this equation, we have negative d divided by 6. So we want to multiply by 6. However, we also want to get rid of that negative here, so we have to multiply by negative 6. Same to the other side. Then negatives will become positive and 6 will simplify. So d is equal to 42. Moving on to some questions with fractions and decimals. Same rule applies for decimals and fractions, so nothing changes. Here we have plus 3/4, so we are going to subtract 3/4, and we do the same to the other side of the equations. H is equal to, and that simplifies to 0. 1/2 minus 3/4. We have to find the common denominator. So 2/4 minus 3/4 equals to negative 1/4. So h is equal to negative 1/4. Here is a division, so we are going to multiply by 0.2, multiply by 0.2 to both sides of the equation. B is equal to negative 2.8. Okay, and these two questions are slightly tricky, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Here we have negative 9 minus x is equal to negative 3. We have our x after the number. We still can use the same rule of getting rid of negative 9 so that we have the variable by itself. So in order to get rid of negative 9, we have to add 9. So we add 9 to both sides. Then what happens is something interesting. You get negative x is equal to 6. Now we don't want negative x, we want regular positive x. Now you notice there's actually a 1 in the front, which makes it negative 1 times x. So if you divide it by negative 1, technically, then you get x is equal to negative 6. shortcut for this type of question. Whenever you get a question, negative variable is equal to a number, you can simply give that negative to the answer. So in this case, negative x is equal to -6. This question, we simply multiply both sides by 8/7, which is the inverse of this fraction. We do this because our goal, again, is to isolate the variable. In order to isolate the variable w, you need to multiply by 8/7, because then 8 will simplify with the denominator 8, 7 will simplify with the numerator 7, therefore leaving w by itself. And again, you got to do it to the other side of the equation. And you simplify. W is equal to -16. Questions on your own. These questions are on the link below.